We are now joined by the Aggies head coach, Chris Jans. Coach, I know you're probably sick about talking about the Auburn game, but what is there one thing that you hoped your team learned from that experience?
Don't turn the ball over. I finally watched it in the middle of the summer. Took me a while, but I finally did on a lazy Sunday afternoon. And, certainly you remember a lot of the plays, and, the plays that the fans remember are, AJ's decision not to shoot the layup or attempt the layup and give it to Terrell, and then Terrell's free throws and Trevlin's shot in the corner. But there were so many plays before that. We just were careless with the ball, and we turned the ball over too much. And I think it was in July, so we were practicing a little bit then. It probably wasn't good for the players the next couple of days after I saw the game. But was very proud of them for, fighting and coming back and putting themselves in position to try to win the game. But I wouldn't say I'm sick and tired of it, but certainly I'm ready to close the book on it, that's for sure.
Did it take you a while? So it took you a while to watch the game?
Oh, yeah. My assistants told me not to. I kept saying I need to watch it. I got to get it out of my system and get over it. But they kept saying, don't watch it, and I'm like, I got to watch it. And so finally my wife and daughter sat in the back room and watched it, and it was pretty quiet in there, to say the least.
And now you guys are picked first by the preseason polls. Does that mean anything for you, or is it kind of just continuing to grow and continue to succeed?
Yeah, when you have that many people coming back with that much experience, both starters and double-figure minute guys, it's inevitable that, you're going to receive some preseason nods and some preseason accolades, and every coach that's sitting up here, whether you're picked high or low, saying, it doesn't really matter. And certainly it's no different with us, but we certainly expected it. But our kids are mature and experienced, and it won't affect them in terms of how they're preparing.
Let's talk about the depth on your roster. Are we going to expect to see 13-plus players again hit the court?
I don't know. I really try not to pigeonhole my guys. I try not to think about starters or who's going to play this time of the year, because I think it's important to give them every opportunity to earn that trust and not in your mind start steering, towards a certain lineup or certain guys playing or not playing. It's too early to do that. I think we'll have a lot of depth again. I'm not sure we'll play quite as many guys as we did last year, but it's the first time I'd ever done that, and it wasn't by design, but it worked out for us, and certainly there were positives and negatives to it. But I certainly believe, compared to most college teams, we'll probably play more than the norm.
You guys have Arizona on the schedule. Usually you guys are the top dogs here in the WAC. What is it like to have the mindset of being an underdog?
It's fun. I think every coach would probably tell you it's a little bit easier to be in that role than the other role, and our guys will flourish in that role, and they'll be excited to be in that role. Certainly it's a game that, no one looks ahead, but at the same time, you're human, what's out there, and that'll be a big game for us. It'll be a heck of an opportunity to play against a well-coached team with NBA prospects left and right, and they'll be bigger, faster, stronger than us, and we're hoping that, some of our experience will help us going on the road like that.
Then I want to talk about your women's team. For the university, how good is it to have both a successful men's and women's team for basketball?
Certainly, our president, chancellor, and athletic director are probably best served to answer that, but I can't imagine there's many negatives to having both the men's and the women's team, having a rich tradition of success, both with Coach Atkinson and myself. We arrived at the same time, and very proud of Brooke, and she's wonderful to work with. Their whole staff has been awesome to work with, and, this was being her first head coaching role. To watch her just grow and get better and get more comfortable in her position, and she's a star in the making, and I'm really happy for her and her program.
Good. All right, I will toss you over to the media now, Coach.
So you only lost a couple of guys from last year's team, but you returned the core of your squad. Can you tell us a little bit about your veteran leaders?
You'll kick me off here. We got 9 guys that are back that played pretty significant minutes. But we've had some kids that have emerged as leaders. I think most coaches will tell you that, true leaders, at least what we think of leaders, are hard to find now. The kids today are PC with one another, and they all want to like each other, and not many of them are willing to, get up in their locker or on the soapbox and be critical of one another. It's just hard to find, and we've had some kids that have emerged recently. Specifically Sean Buchanan, A.J. Harris, and Terrell Brown, who was real quiet a year ago. And now, with the experience that he's had, along with Sean and A.J., who've been with me since we've arrived here, those three have risen to the top in terms of, being leaders. And it's really nice to see and nice to hear when some of your players are using the terms and phrases that, us coaches use with them. And, at that point, you start thinking to yourself, that's when you have a program, where it's not the coach or the assistant coach, barking at them, when it's peer to peer like that, and student athlete to student athlete. And it really makes you feel good inside when the guys, that have been around here are trying to teach the younger people, what kind of expectations we have, what's expected of them every day, and how we practice and how we act. And it's been really fun to watch that. And all of them have had a part in it. I've never been on a team that has that many returnees, and then certainly having 7 seniors, where obviously most of the time those kids want to go out with a bang, and they realize it's their last year and they want to make it special. So we definitely don't lack in returnees or seniors this upcoming season.
So kind of on the other end, you have some new guys that are coming in. What newcomers do you expect to make an impact, and how do those guys find their role within this team?
It's going to be difficult for them. The returnees, certainly, I've always been proud of this, and a lot of coaches talk about it, but it was real with us, is these kids really love each other. They root for one another. And when you play as many guys as we do, you would think that playing time could get in the way. But when it comes down to playing time, individually, when they're home in their own thoughts, they all want to play. And if they're playing 15 minutes, they want to play 25. If they're playing 30, they want to play 35. It's been like that in the history of team sports. But with so many returnees and the experience and understanding and knowledge that they have, the newcomers are have a tough learning curve. Certainly, we have a couple guys that we need to be able to help us. And the first one that comes to mind is Sean Williams from East Carolina, who is a 4-4 transfer that has immediate eligibility, and he's got a proven track record. He's got a body of work in Division I. He was the American Conference Player of the Year as a freshman, and then last year he averaged double figures as well. So he can score the ball. He's probably one of our better shooters right now, but he wasn't here in the summer, so he's behind everybody else. Not only did he not play here last year, but he didn't get the summer training that the other kids did. So he's behind in terms of terminology. He's behind defensively. He's behind on how hard we'd like our guys to play, but the equalizer for him is he can really shoot the basketball. So we're hoping that he can catch up soon and make an impact. And then the other deal is we need one of these young bigs or new bigs to emerge. We got 3 of them that will be vying for playing time. Wilfred Lakai, who's a junior college player, 6'9", long, lanky, pretty skilled, but needs weight and strength. And then 2 guys that have been in our program, Will McNair, who's 6'10", 270, and Rob Brown, who's about 6'8", probably 2 1/4, 230, and they're both emerging young 5-men, but we need one of them to be game ready here sooner than later.
Aggie alum Pascal Siakam won the NBA title last year. Jamario Jones, Zach Lofton both played in NBA games last year. What does that mean for your program to have guys going to the league?
It's awesome. Last year, certainly as a basketball coach, I always watch the NBA Finals. It's probably what I watch most about the NBA. I pay a little bit of attention in the regular season, and the playoffs kind of get more tuned in because of our own season. But, having Pascal play at that level, it's the pinnacle of basketball, if you will. And then for me personally, Fred VanVleet had a starring role, especially in the finals, and he's a young man that, I've known since he was a senior in high school and coached him at Wichita State. So for me and my family, it was really fun to watch the finals. But certainly from the New Mexico State, perspective to have one of their own, on that stage and playing as well as he did and impacting the game like he did on that stage was awesome, And knowing Pascal, his path, I don't know him personally, but knowing his path and how he got to where he got, it's a great success story, and we're really happy for him and proud of him. And then certainly since we've arrived, we've had a couple kids that have had a cup of coffee or two in the NBA, and they've worked their tail off to put themselves in that position. I tell everybody, it's about their talent, their mindset, their approach. We're just trying to help them. We're just a part of the recipe, and take pride in it. But in the end, it's about them individually, and hopefully Zach and Jamario will continue to get opportunities, and one or both of them can stick in that league for long term, and that would be awesome for them and certainly for our program. I mean, the obvious is, it's great exposure for us, for our university, for our athletic department, and specifically for our men's basketball program to be able to share that with kids and say, hey, you can make it to where you want to go anywhere. And certainly we all know that from other stories that are out there. But when it's your program, it hits a little bit closer to home.
Chris, let's go back to the experience that you guys have returning. Does it make it easier, in a sense, to handle that pressure that comes with being selected to win the WAC each year, when you have guys that hold each other accountable, that have that experience of playing in difficult situations and so forth? Or is it something that you try to instill in them just to go out and do their job and play well?
That's a tough question to answer today. We haven't had any adversity yet. We haven't actually tossed it up and played a game. I think we'll find that out in, November, December, etc. I know it's been more enjoyable coaching this group just because we haven't had to start from scratch. I've been a head coach for 10 years now at different levels, and this is the first time I've ever been a head coach for 3 consecutive seasons at one school. So it's new territory for me, and it's odd not to bring in 8 to 10 guys and have to teach everything at ground zero. And it's been fun. It's been stress free. I don't know if it's going to impact wins and losses, which was what matters most. But for me, and my wife probably concurs, it's been a little more stress-free summer and fall. The most unfortunate thing that's going on for us is we're just so beat up. We had a great summer. I anticipated our guys to be highly motivated after the loss to Auburn and how it went down, and we weren't disappointed. We had an awesome summer. They worked their tail off. It was exciting. And then in the fall, just for whatever reason, we got hit hard with the injury bug. We haven't practiced full strength one time since school started, and we've had 4, 5, 6 guys out every day, and it's been hard to practice our system. We've had to just piecemeal it together day by day. We're just now getting back and getting a little bit more healthier. Some guys are in non-contact. Some guys have been released for full contact. We're still not full strength, and so we look forward to getting everybody back, and it needs to be sooner than later with the games approaching.
Alrighty, Coach. Well, we appreciate your time and best of luck this season.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Next up, we'll have Greg McCall from CSU Bakersfield. Stay right there.